Something big is brewing in the NFL, and nobody saw this coming. One team is making bold moves, shocking fans, and turning doubters into believers. The energy is electric, the stakes are sky high, and if you think the NFL is unpredictable, buckle up, because what's happening right now could change everything. This isn't just news, it's a statement, and we need to talk about it right now. All right, Falcons fans, it's time we have a real conversation. And yeah, I know some of you are tired of hearing the name Kirk Cousins already. Believe me, I get it. But when ESPN starts throwing around rumors involving both Cousins and Kyle Pitts, you better believe we have to talk about it. Now hold on. Don't panic. Nobody said it's happening, but the rumors are flying, and one report in particular just dropped a bomb. According to NFL insider Ian Rappaport, the Pittsburgh Steelers actually called the Falcons and said, "What's it going to take to get Kyle Pitts?" Let that sink in. Kyle Pitts, the former number 4 overall pick, a guy with crazy talent who, hasn't totally exploded yet, but still has sky-high potential. The Falcons? They didn't bite. They've made it clear. They don't want to trade Pitts. They believe in him. They still see what he could become. But here's the twist. If a team brings a strong enough offer, the Falcons will listen. Let's be honest. Pitts hasn't had great quarterback help since he got to Atlanta. The guy's been asked to work with below-average QBs his entire career. Can we really say we've seen the best of Kyle Pitts yet? Sure, he hasn't fully lived up to being the number 4 pick. That's fair. But maybe it's not all on him. Maybe it's a mix. The QB play's been rough, and maybe he's not a superstar, but he still could be something special. And that's why this year feels so important, because for the first time, he might have a real shot with a new leader under center, Michael Penix Jr. Look, Penix didn't get a fair shake last season. He should have started way earlier, but when he finally stepped in, he had those rookie ups and downs like every young QB. Now, he's stepping into year 2, and he's going to need weapons he trusts. Kyle Pitts could be that guy, his safety net, his go-to over the middle, and maybe, just maybe, his red zone beast. But here's the truth. The next few months will decide everything. If Pitts steps up and becomes the weapon we hoped for, the Falcons keep him. If not, maybe a trade becomes real. Maybe he walks after his rookie deal ends. It's all on the line. And we're about to find out. Now I want to hear from you. Be real with me. Do you still believe in Kyle Pitts? Should the Falcons trade him if the offer is big enough? Or do we ride it out one more year? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every single one. Okay, here we go again. I know. You're probably sick of hearing about Kirk Cousins. But we have to talk about it, because somehow the rumors just won't go away. And according to ESPN, there might still be a path, however wild it sounds, for Cousins to be traded before the season really gets rolling. And no, I'm not joking. The latest team being thrown into the mix? The Cleveland Browns. Yeah, the same Browns who seem to be collecting quarterbacks like Pokemon cards right now. According to a recent trade idea floated by ESPN, the deal would go something like this. The Browns would get Kirk Cousins and a 7th-round pick. The Falcons would get Kenny Pickett, a 2026 6th-round pick, and some cash considerations. Hold up. Let's break that down. First of all, Kenny Pickett? Are we really doing this? Because let me be brutally honest here. Falcons fans, I wouldn't touch Pickett with a 10-foot pole. The guy couldn't even lock down a starting job in Pittsburgh, and now in Cleveland there are rumors he might not even beat out Shedder Sanders or Dylan Gabriel for the backup job. That's how bad it's gotten. And don't forget, Cleveland already has Joe Flacco, who's basically in his NFL grandpa years at this point, and Deshaun Watson, who's still sitting on that massive contract. Now they've got a quarterback room more crowded than a college dorm party. So let me ask you this. Does this trade make any sense? Yeah, maybe you pick up a late-round pick. Maybe you save some cash. But do we really want Kenny Pickett in Atlanta? A guy who's shown nothing in 2 years? A guy who might already be on his 3rd team in 2 seasons? Look, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is the long-term answer. He's older, he's recovering, and his best days might be behind him. But if you're asking me to choose between Cousins and Pickett, that's a no-brainer. I'll take Kirk every single time. And here's the real question. Does this front office even believe in Kirk anymore? Or are they just waiting for the right excuse to move him and go all in with Michael Penix Jr.? It's clear the Falcons are still figuring things out, but if this is the kind of trade that's actually being considered, we might be in for a wild ride. Would you trade Kirk Cousins for Kenny Pickett and a late-round pick, or is that just asking for disaster? Rate this trade idea from 1 to 10 in the comments, and tell me what you'd do if you were running the Falcons. Let's see who's still riding with Kirk, and who's ready to move on. This next idea? It might sound crazy at first, but the more you think about it, the more it actually makes sense. What if Kirk Cousins went back home, back to Minnesota, back to the team he led for years, back to the fans who once believed in him, this time not as the hero, but as the veteran mentor, quietly helping guide their new future? Now that's a story. Here's how the trade could look. The Vikings get Kirk Cousins. The Falcons get a 2026 fifth-round pick, a 2027 seventh-rounder, and some cash. And honestly, I'm in on this one. This trade does two important things. First, it gives Kirk a graceful exit, a chance to ride out the final stretch of his career in a familiar place, behind rookie J.J. McCarthy. No pressure, no quarterback drama, just leadership, experience, and a clean ending. Second, and maybe more importantly for us in Atlanta, it gets Cousins out of this crowded QB room and brings back something we badly need: future draft capital. Let's not forget, the Falcons gave up their 2026 first-round pick in that trade with the Rams to move up and get James Pierce Jr. So if you're the front office, you need to start stacking picks wherever you can. And getting a fifth and seventh in return? Not bad at all. But that's not all. ESPN floated another Vikings trade idea that's got people talking. This time, it's not Cousins returning home as the backup. It's a player swap. Minnesota gets Kirk Cousins. Atlanta gets Sam Howell and some cash. Now look, Sam Howell isn't blowing anyone away. He's not a superstar. But as a backup, he's solid. He's young. He's shown flashes. And frankly, he might be a better long-term option than a recovering Kirk Cousins. If the Falcons are truly ready to go all in on Michael Penix Jr., maybe it's time to let Kirk walk and bring in a guy like Howell to quietly hold the clipboard, step in when needed, and not cause a stir. Either way, these trade rumors say one big thing. The NFL world knows the Falcons are on the edge of something, and moves will be made. If you had to choose, would you send Kirk Cousins back to the Vikings for draft picks, or bring in Sam Howell as a younger backup option? Drop your favorite trade idea in the comments below. Let's see who's thinking long-term and who's riding with Kirk to the finish. Let's just be real for a minute. Who's actually going to trade for Kirk Cousins right now? He's coming off a serious injury. He's older, he's expensive, and the truth is, most teams aren't looking for a backup quarterback who's nearly 37 and still wants to be a starter. Let's stop pretending like teams are lining up. This isn't 2019 anymore. That's why the Minnesota rumors? Yeah, they sound more like a farewell tour than a serious football move. It would be about nostalgia, letting Cousins finish where he started as a mentor, maybe in the shadows behind J.J. McCarthy. But even if that door stays open, Kirk has a no-trade clause. That means he decides where he goes. And if he doesn't want to be a backup, if he still believes he can start, then that's a problem. Look, I'll be honest, I still think Kirk has a little left in the tank. I'm not saying he's finished, but let's face it. Who's giving him a starting job now? Who's offering him a multi-year deal coming off that injury? No one. This feels like the final chapter. And yeah, the writing is on the wall. Kirk Cousins needs to see it for what it is. This might be the end of the road as a starter. So now I'll ask you the same question everyone's been asking for months. Probably the 80 millionth time. Where do you think Kirk Cousins will play in 2025? My guess? He stays in Atlanta. He's a backup behind Michael Penix Jr., and unless something wild happens, like an injury or a desperate team needing a veteran, he's not going anywhere. Yeah, maybe Minnesota makes one last call. But beyond that, the market is ice cold. Now, unless Penix goes down or a team completely panics, Kirk is likely wearing that Falcons jersey on the sideline come week 1. Be honest, is Kirk Cousins done as a starter? Or is there still a spark left in the tank? Drop your prediction in the comments. Where will Cousins play week 1? Atlanta, Minnesota, somewhere else?